Growth always requires discomfort, and the sooner you accept that truth, the faster your life starts moving forward. Discomfort is not a signal to stop, it's a signal that you're entering a new level of yourself. Every time you attempt something bigger than your current capacity, you feel friction. That friction isn't punishment, it's the process of becoming someone stronger, someone more capable, someone who can handle the results they're dreaming about. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most proud of yourself. None of them came from staying comfortable. They came from showing up when you were scared, taking the risk you didn't want to take, doing the work you didn't feel ready for. Growth always lives on the other side of resistance. Comfort gives you a version of life that feels predictable. Discomfort gives you a version of life that feels possible. Most people avoid discomfort because they confuse it with danger. But discomfort isn't danger, it's development. It's the gym for your mind, your habits, your discipline. When you lift a heavier weight, your muscles tear before they strengthen. When you chase a bigger goal, your identity stretches before it stabilizes. That stretching is uncomfortable, but it's the only path to expansion. You don't gain capacity by staying within your limits. You gain capacity by stepping beyond them, even when it feels messy, uncertain, or overwhelming. You will never meet a successful person whose journey was comfortable. The people who rise are the ones who decide that being uncomfortable is simply part of the deal. They get comfortable being uncomfortable. They understand that discomfort doesn't mean they're failing, it means they're growing. They push through the days when their emotions want to take the lead. They show up when momentum is low, when discipline is tested, when doubt whispers that they should go back to what was familiar. But familiar never built anyone's future. The discomfort you feel today is shaping the version of yourself you need for tomorrow. When you wake up earlier than you want to, that's growth. When you work on your dreams while others are relaxing, that's growth. When you have hard conversations that protect your future, that's growth. When you break old habits that no longer match your goals, that's growth. Every uncomfortable decision is a vote for the person you want to become. Growth requires that you unlearn who you were to make space for who you're becoming. That unlearning is uncomfortable because it disrupts old patterns, old identities, and old comforts, but staying the same is far more painful in the long run. Comfort feels good now but costs you later. Discomfort feels hard now but pays you later. The question is, which price are you willing to pay? When you embrace discomfort as part of the journey, everything shifts. You stop taking resistance personally. You stop quitting when things feel heavy. You stop expecting the process to be easy. Instead, you start seeing challenges as opportunities. You start respecting the work. You start trusting yourself in ways you never have before. Growth requires discomfort, but that discomfort is the gateway to the life you want. Your standards must rise before your success does, because success never shows up for someone who hasn't already created the internal capacity to hold it. People think success is something that just happens once you get lucky, once you meet the right person, once the timing aligns. But the truth is far more direct. Success rises to meet the standards you set for your life, your habits, your discipline, and your behavior. If your standards stay low, your results stay low. If your standards rise, your life rises with them. Think about it this way: every result you currently have is a reflection of the standards you've been accepting. The quality of your work, the consistency of your routines, the expectations you keep for yourself, they are all silent contracts you sign every single day. If you accept being late, you build a life where opportunities slip. If you accept inconsistency, you build a life where progress never compounds. If you accept distractions, you build a life where focus becomes impossible. Your standards are not suggestions, they are the foundation your future is built on. Most people want better results without becoming the person who earns them. They want success to show up before they elevate their habits, before they change their behavior, before they remove the excuses that are holding them back. But success doesn't work like that. Success requires evidence. You rise first, and the results follow. You raise your work ethic, and the opportunities expand. You raise your discipline, and the outcomes shift. You raise your self-respect, and your environment changes to match it. Raising your standards is uncomfortable because it forces you to confront your patterns. It makes you look at the ways you've been settling, the promises you break to yourself, the areas of your life where you've been operating on autopilot. But confrontation leads to clarity, and clarity leads to elevation. When you hold yourself to a higher standard, you naturally attract better circumstances, better relationships, better momentum, and better results. You can't expect extraordinary outcomes while living with average habits. If you want to level up, your standards must reflect that ambition. Set a new baseline for yourself. Wake up earlier. Follow through on the commitments you make. Put your goals ahead of your feelings. Stop tolerating excuses from yourself. Decrease your tolerance for laziness, lack of focus, and wasted time. Increase your expectations for consistency, effort, and self-leadership. Your success won't magically rise, you rise first. And when you rise, everything in your life adjusts to match the person you're becoming. Success is attracted to high standards because high standards create reliability, credibility, and momentum. The work you do behind the scenes determines the results you see in public. If you want a bigger life, elevate the standards you live by daily. Don't wait for success to motivate you. Let your standards do the work. When your standards rise, your success has no choice but to follow. Discipline outperforms emotion because emotions are inconsistent, unpredictable, and easily influenced, while discipline is stable, reliable, and built on commitment, not convenience. If you build your life around emotions, you'll only work when you feel motivated, inspired, or excited. And let's be honest, those moments are rare. But if you build your life around discipline, you'll do the work whether you're tired, frustrated, bored, or overwhelmed. That consistency is what separates people who dream from people who achieve. Emotion says, I don't feel like it today. Discipline says, do it anyway. Emotion says, I'll start tomorrow. Discipline says, start now. Emotion reacts. Discipline leads. The biggest misconception people have is believing successful individuals stay motivated. They don't. They stay disciplined. Motivation helps you begin, but discipline helps you finish. Discipline is the muscle that carries you through the days when your emotions are telling you to take it easy, slow down, or walk away. Emotions fluctuate based on your environment, your energy, your stress, your mood. Discipline is the anchor that keeps you grounded on the days everything else feels unstable. Most people lose because they wait to feel right before they take action. They wait for confidence before they move toward the goal. They wait for inspiration before they start, but confidence comes after action, not before. Inspiration grows from momentum, not hesitation. When you rely on emotion, you train your brain to only perform under perfect conditions. When you rely on discipline, you train your brain to produce regardless of the conditions. Discipline is a decision you remake every day. It's not glamorous, it's not exciting, it's often uncomfortable. But it builds a version of you that is resilient, dependable, and unstoppable. It gives you the ability to show up even when life feels heavy. It allows you to keep building even when you're not immediately rewarded. It strengthens your identity because you learn that you can trust yourself, and that trust becomes the foundation of every success you create. When you act on discipline, you break the cycle of emotional inconsistency. You stop negotiating with excuses. You stop giving your feelings the power to decide your future. You stop letting your temporary mood define your long-term trajectory. Discipline teaches you to follow through, and follow through is what builds momentum. And once momentum appears, everything in your life changes. Emotion might make you start fast, but discipline makes you finish strong. Emotion might feel good in the moment, but discipline feels good in the results. Emotion makes promises, discipline keeps them. If you want a life that grows consistently, a business that scales sustainably, or a mindset that stays strong under pressure, you need to prioritize discipline over emotion every single time. Your emotions can guide you, but they can't drive you. Let discipline take the wheel, because at the end of the day, the people who win aren't the ones who feel the best, they're the ones who show up anyway. Consistency is a system, not a mood, because the people who win long term aren't relying on how they feel, they're relying on what they've built. Most people fail not because they lack talent or ambition, but because they treat consistency like an emotion. They show up when they're inspired, they slow down when they're tired, and they quit when it stops feeling exciting. But consistency only works when it becomes a structure, a routine, a non-negotiable part of who you are, not something you do only when it's convenient. A mood is temporary, a system is repeatable, a mood depends on your environment, a system survives any environment. When you rely on moods, your progress becomes unpredictable. When you rely on systems, your progress becomes inevitable. Think about the people who achieve massive, sustained success. They're not more motivated than you, they're more structured. They have routines that keep them accountable, habits that activate even when they don't feel like working, and standards that don't shift with their emotions. They design their days with intention, so their actions don't depend on their feelings. Their success isn't accidental, it's engineered. When you treat consistency as a system, you remove the need for daily emotional negotiations. You're not waking up asking yourself, "Do I feel like doing this?" You wake up knowing exactly what needs to be done. Systems eliminate decision fatigue. They reduce uncertainty. They keep you aligned with your goals even during seasons when your motivation is low or your life feels chaotic. A good system carries you on the days your mood can't. Here's the mistake most people make. They try to force consistency through willpower, but willpower is unreliable, it drains, it fluctuates, it breaks under pressure. Systems don't. Systems keep you steady, they simplify your choices, they automate success, they transform small daily actions into powerful long-term outcomes. A system is your schedule, your habits, your routines, your environment. It's the structure you build around your life to support the future you want. If you want to get in shape, you need a workout system, not random bursts of effort. If you want to grow financially, you need a money system, not occasional discipline. If you want to build a business or a personal brand like your motivational YouTube channel, you need a content system, not just moments of inspiration. Consistency becomes easier when it's supported by systems because systems remove friction. They make the right actions obvious and the wrong actions inconvenient. They keep your goals top of mind. They prevent you from slipping back into old habits. And here's the truth, your future doesn't respond to how you feel today. It responds to the systems you operate. Your mood might tell you to slow down, but your system keeps you moving. Your mood might say you're overwhelmed, but your system organizes your next step. Your mood might try to convince you to quit, but your system reminds you why you started. If you want real, sustainable success, stop chasing the feeling of consistency and start building the framework for it. Because consistency is not an emotion, it's the architecture of discipline, and once you build the system, the results become automatic. Your environment dictates your elevation because no matter how ambitious, disciplined, or talented you are, the space you live in and the people you surround yourself with will either reinforce your growth or limit it. Environment isn't just where you are, it's what you absorb. It's the energy you're exposed to, the conversations you hear, the expectations that surround you, and the standards you witness daily. You cannot rise in an environment that is committed to staying the same. And you cannot stay small in an environment built for growth. Every goal you have requires a certain kind of atmosphere. If you want to think bigger, you need to be around people who challenge your thinking. If you want to be more disciplined, you need to be in spaces where excuses aren't accepted. If you want to elevate financially, professionally, or personally, you need a circle that reflects the level you're aiming for, not the level you're leaving behind. Because your environment is shaping you even when you're not paying attention. When you stay around people who complain, you start lowering your comfort threshold. When you stay around people who avoid responsibility, you begin letting yourself off the hook. When you stay around people who fear growth, you subconsciously slow down your own momentum so you don't outgrow them. This is why so many ambitious people feel stuck, not because they lack skill, but because their environment reinforces stagnation. On the other hand, the right environment forces you to stretch. It pushes you to raise your standards. It makes you question your habits, your work ethic, and your limitations. When you're surrounded by individuals who are consistent, focused, and committed to their future, you start adopting the same behaviors. Their discipline becomes your inspiration. Their progress becomes your proof. Their habits become your new baseline. Elevation becomes natural because the environment is built for it. And environment isn't just people, it's your physical space, your routines, your daily inputs. The content you consume, the conversations you allow, the habits you practice every morning and every night, all of it is shaping your identity. If your environment is cluttered, chaotic, or unstructured, your mind will operate the same way. If your environment is intentional, your life becomes intentional. One of the hardest parts of growth is outgrowing environments that feel familiar but limit your evolution. Familiarity feels safe, but it doesn't elevate you. Comfort keeps you connected to your old identity. Elevation requires new surroundings, new expectations, new challenges, new perspectives. Sometimes that means distancing yourself from people who aren't aligned with your path. Sometimes it means redesigning your routines. Sometimes it means stepping into rooms where you feel uncomfortable because everyone is further ahead. That discomfort is a sign that you're in the right place. You rise faster when your environment supports the version of you that you're becoming, not the version of you that you used to be. If you want to elevate your life, elevate your environment first. Because no matter how strong you think you are, you will always be influenced by the spaces you exist in. Your environment is either lifting you or limiting you, and your future depends on which one you choose.